Hey,
Hey,
hey, how's everybody doing today? Today is episode 5 of
yeah.
I Must Ask You a Question with Jen and James. Thanks for joining us. I believe we are live, and I am live from Orlando. I'm doing MegaCon with my staff. This is the first convention we've done in like 2 years. We're in a pretty amazing house. I used some credit card points, and we got like a 9-bedroom house that I'm pretty sure is haunted. As you can see, I'm in the superhero room. There's Captain America and Black Widow, Thor, and Iron Man there. How you doing, Jen? How's things going? Where are you at? I don't recognize. You're in a different spot too.
So is yours an Airbnb?
Yes, Airbnb.
Nice.
It's in a place called Champions Gate, which is right by Disney World. So yeah, we have quite the oh, there it goes again, the light. We have quite the team coming out on different days. We're kind of making a big splash. A little concerned, obviously, because of the Delta variant, everything that's going on. We're all going to mask up and knock on wood, hope for the best, be clean, be sanitary. And I mean, we're all excited for conventions. And I thought that would be a great topic. Actually, you thought, and I agree with you, that a great topic this week would be to talk about conventions from a publisher standpoint and a comic shop standpoint. So when was the last convention that you did, Jen?
So I didn't up for Comic Palooza that was here maybe 3 weeks ago and do a bunch of interviews and walk around and see everybody that I could.
Yeah.
And that one felt as normal as a convention could get. Kind of like, I think they were down to maybe a fourth of their size. Only took part of the bottom floor, when they usually take the entirety of one whole level, and then actually two whole levels that they usually take. They were trying to be as careful as they could.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like everyone was really thankful to just kind of have some normalcy in their, comic book year.
Yeah. I mean, prior to this, how I got started in the comic conventions was, man, I went to when I first started doing Solar Flare, I think the first year I did like 30. The second year I did like 25. In 2019, I believe I did like 13, which is still a lot. And I met a lot of the creators that I know at Scout and brought them to Scout. We met on Comic Cons, a lot of self-starters and stuff. So I really do miss it. I'm going to see some friends this weekend that I haven't seen in a long, long time. But yeah, it kind of stinks. I think it sounds like we've rushed everything. We were planning a huge, huge thing for New York Comic Con this year as a publisher side. So what a lot of people don't know, I mean, you visited, did some interviews at Comic Palooza, which I still have yet to do that show. I heard it's amazing. It's in Houston, right? And it's just, I can't wait. So when things get normal, I'm gonna come out there, and then of course I gotta come and finally see your shop. But when is it usually? That's usually in May?
Well, they usually do Memorial Weekend. So they have in the past done it as long as a 4-day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they decided that 4 was too much for people, which I wish they'd go back to the 4-day, because that makes a lot more monetary sense when you have 4 days to try to catch people, and then people that work, one of those, they can be off. So I think it helps everybody else too. But I know it's a lot of logistics to try to get enough volunteer force for, to help out with a con for 4 whole days. And then
it's insane. Yeah, MegaCon's a 4-day show. It's Thursday, strange hours, like from to the general public 4:00, and they do this like special VIP pass where they let people in for 2 hours early. So technically it starts for us at 2.
Okay.
But yeah, the logistics that go in shows is just, it's unreal. It's unreal. Did you do as a vendor, did you do a lot of shows prior to the pandemic?
I only really do local ones, just because honestly, to go do you remember when Stanley had Kamikaze?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I sent a staff once there. I gave them my truck and one of those big U-Haul trailers and sent them out. There were 4 of them that went, and it's amazing how quickly you can break the unity of a group by forcing them to be in a vehicle for 2 days.
Yes.
And then and then drive 4 days straight again. Yeah, we'll never do that again.
It's so rough. But from a publisher standpoint, conventions are so huge. It's like, it's a cross between generating revenue, of course, and then also advertising, getting out there, and it's like grassroots. You get to see your fans up close. You establish relationships. A lot of times, they're investing in the individual. At least when I was doing Solar Flare, it's like they, I would talk with people. I'm very outgoing, surprise, surprise. And like, I would just talk with people. And what I did and what we're going to be doing this year too is I created this thing with Solar Flare. It was called a Solar Flare preparation guide, and I actually wrote it into the story. So these like little 8-page brochures that I wrote in the voice of one of the characters. And what I would say is like, hey, would you like a free comic? And then I would do my quick elevator pitch, right? Like 2-minute pitches. And of course, only if that person was interested. Like I can read, if they're just like, yeah, thanks, and walking away, I wouldn't like harass them. But if they came over, I was like, yeah, tell me about it. And the most rewarding thing is when they would come back later in the show and they would buy the series because they read the brochure. But a lot of times they're investing in you, the person, whoever's doing it, whether it's your staff, whether it's the creators. And I mean, there's nothing better. I really enjoy it. That was one of the, I think I definitely got burnt out from doing it so many times, but it was such a great thing. I think that was a lot of our successes, from a creator standpoint, was doing these shows. I mean, it was a huge revenue generator for us. And I mean, since we've done one as Scout, it was November. Myself and Jim Pruitt did Reno in November of 2019. Yeah. And I mean, it's been a long time, and we have grown. Like I honestly think 3-4 times the size that we were back then. And, a lot of stuff we're selling like $4 issues. Now we have like all these crazy variants. We got these title boxes. We got trade paperbacks. Like a huge amount of them thanks to that distribution deal. So I'm very, very anxious to see how it goes. But unfortunately, I think this will probably be the last one for us for the remainder of the year. I know we're talking about doing New York Comic Con. We still have to discuss internally, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. It's just there's too many unknowns. And what a lot of people don't know, when you do conventions as a publisher or a creator, you have to pay a lot of money up front for that convention. Like, for example, we still have rollover money that I paid in 2 years ago, in 2019, this time, for shows. Like this particular show that we're doing, this was from 2 years ago. So we're finally cashing in from 2 years ago. And that's a really tough thing. So it looks like we got a question come in. Joey posted something. So what does traveling to a con look like for an LCS point of view? It's got to be crazy to plan and map out. I'm sure it's very similar with publishers.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys do the same thing. You think about, like, we've grown over the years too. So every once in a while we'll have a con ask us if we can come, and they say, we have 10 by 10 booths left. I'm like, that's not even close to what we need. We're island status now. I can't represent my brand properly at a 10 by 10 space. I'm sure you guys are the same.
Oh, I don't even know what to expect. Like after I wrap up this interview, we're heading over to start setting up, and we didn't have title boxes last time, and this is like the big debut of comic tags. Like I think it's our version of the print. So I've become friends with a lot of print artists, where they'll do like they'll sell 11 by 17 or 12 by 18 prints. And quite honestly, they make a fortune. They print these things for, pennies on the dollars and sell them for like $15 to $30 a piece. And it's like a license to print money. And it's, the old adage of a starving artist. But it's hard when you're pitching your own, creator owned thing. And I think comic tags being so small and being able to the value of it, I'm very interested in how that reception is going to be this weekend. We brought essentially 250 of the 8 different titles that we've already launched. I mean, we have this nice display, this on wheels. Normally I couldn't like bring that if it was like not a drivable show. It was like a display that we bought at Best Buy. But yeah, that's the big thing is like, it's a lot when you can drive to a show, you can bring so much more stuff. But when you actually fly to the show, like I learned so much about maximizing, you have 2, I would bring someone else, like a friend, to go with me. I would pay for their ticket just so I can, of course the help is tremendous, but also I need the luggage space. We would maximize the 50-pound for the bags. We would send stuff via media mail to the hotels that would allow, us to ship product. And then we would print labels to try to ship it back, but hopefully it would be less. I mean, it's a logistic nightmare, but you have to chalk it off to not only making some money, but also the advertisement.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have to, like for us as a retailer, you kind of have to think about what's the best way to optimize the space that you've paid for.
Yep.
every square foot really does have to pay for itself in those days that you're there. And there's some booth designs that we've tried and have completely failed, and I think we've kind of like settled on ones that we really like.
Mm-hmm.
But what spaces are available. I think we're now at an N cap and an L we can work with, and that's kind of cool to be able to represent all the different things that your brand carries. And I'm sure you guys are going to do it the same way.
Yeah.
Different sides.
Yeah, we don't really know what to. I mean, we have so many books now, right? You can't possibly bring everything. Yep. So kind of what I've decided. Obviously, comic tags allows you to bring a little bit more because it takes up less space.
Oh, yeah.
But what we're also doing is looking in the area. So in Orlando, which creators do we have coming to do signings? So we're going to bring obviously their books, trades, some variants. Usually, what I do is I bring like 3 long boxes full of like rare retailer and web store variants that we have that seem to be very popular in 2019. And then trades in these title boxes, but a lot of it's catered to who's going to be there. And then what we're going to try to do differently this time, what I've learned, and a little shout out to Tyler James at Comics Tribe. He's like the Kickstarter guru, and I learned so much from listening to his podcasts and whatnot. But one of the things that really resonated with me on one of his podcasts, he talks about probably as a LCS as well, email addresses for customers is like the new currency in publishing, and I would think in LCS, because those email marketing campaigns, you know, in your case, getting people to do the live auctions and whatnot are huge. So that's one thing that we're going to be focusing on, is gathering email addresses and really just kind of promoting the brand. It's Free Comic Book Day. I'm sure you have a huge event planned this Saturday, and we're going to be giving out like our version is going to be White Ash Season 2, number 0. And we have a steak story about Jessamy, one of the main characters in it, like kind of like a origin story that we did a little preview in there as well. And David Byrne, our co-publisher and creator of Steak and writer, is going to be signing, but we brought like 5 boxes of 300 to give out on Saturday. My staff and myself, we're probably going to, you know, masked up, go into line and just when people are waiting in line, we're going to give them free comic books. And we're going to release a little bit early the White Ash trade. So hopefully like, hey, we have the trade available. I think it comes out next week, but of course I got some already because we've had them printed for a while. It's exciting. Do you have any like really cool stuff planned for Saturday?
We're doing, so we're making it as exciting as we think we can do it and still have a manageable crowd. So
yeah,
invited Joshua Starnes and Red 5 to come set up.
Great guys. Joshua's great.
Oh yeah. We have a variant to his book that he just wrote, The Box, which releases on the 18th. He's allowing us to release it on the 14th, which is
nice.
Sweet deal. And they're going to bring it. I told them at Comic Palooza they had a really nice end cap booth. I said, just pack up the booth and bring the whole thing. I'm going to give you enough space to reproduce this. So can't wait to do that. And then, we have another local artist, Mark Nasso, who's amazing. And we're just gonna kind of like keep it as manageable as we can. So we're not doing any crazy stuff. We usually do, and we will again. We usually have an annual Deadpool Olympics, which we call Deadpool Olympics, in which we dress up as Deadpool and do crazy events like tricycle jousting.
That's awesome. Hey, do you have any of this filmed?
I'm sure we do.
That's awesome. Tricycle jousting.
Those the kickboxing dummies that don't have like, they're not the ones that are shaped like men. They're just like the big red
things. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Got a picture of Francis.
That's awesome. Francis is on there.
So people can like, you know, like it's like you get points for style for kicking him. And
what are the winner? Did they win like some comic book packs and whatnot?
I give them really good prices because it's a lot to bring out your, you know.
Yeah.
Really great. And so I'm like, they don't have to be good. You can wear a Deadpool t-shirt, I'll let it count. But it's just fun to see them out there just having fun.
That's very cool.
Even in May, it's hot here. So.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm in Florida. So, on top of it, I don't know if you've checked the weather, but it looks like we have a tropical storm heading our way. That could very well be a hurricane, and a powerful one, all depending if it, when it goes to the Caribbean, if it hits these mountains or not. We'll find out, I think most likely tomorrow. So knock on wood for us, everybody who's listening and watching. But yeah, that sounds so cool. It reminds me of, I used to do, I don't know how, one of our he now works with us as one of our designers. His name is Jeff Springer, and really good friend of mine. And he's convinced me. Have you heard of these things called Ragnar relays? There's relay races. So what it is, it's like a group of people, usually 12 people, get together and they do legs of this relay race, and it's always like 199 miles. So you were talking about, you never know until like you're stuck in a van with people, like your employees who were stuck in, 4 of them doing a convention. Well, this is like anywhere from 36 to 38 hours where you're literally stuck in a van and you're going, like, I've done 2 of them now, and I have no idea still how he's convinced me. The first one was from Miami to Key West in January, and 199 miles, and I've never been more exhausted. But yeah, you really find out about people when you're driving and stuck in a van together for so long. But one of the questions here is just talking about what is it like to travel with all the product. It just really depends whether it's we have a van now. We bought a Transit to basically travel to all these different shows that are within drivable areas, usually within, I would say, 12 hours. Otherwise, we would fly. And you don't really know what to do. And it's significantly less, obviously, if it's like California shows. So one thing that we prepped as a publisher is our co-publisher, Charlie Stickney, lives out in California. So what we've been doing for the past 2 years really is we got a storage unit out in LA, and we've been sending books to him, every book that we have, and he's been building up that storage. So now we basically have a Scout headquarters west. And the idea is to do that in the East Coast, up in the Northeast, and then somewhere in the Midwest. So where we can fly out, rent a van, and load it up where we can take more stuff. So that was kind of my idea logistically to get it. And of course, if we keep growing and growing like we are, the idea was to have headquarters in all those locations, and then even get transits for each location. And that's my big master plan and dream, because I think conventions are huge when things get back. And I think there was oversaturation, because this question that Joey just posed, Comic-Cons, what does it look like from their point of view? From their point of view, it's got to be scary, because you can't have as many people. You have certain mask mandates. It's such a polarizing thing in the U.S. right now about doing, especially here in Florida, with who required to wear masks, not to wear masks. It's got to be really tough for them. And I think when it does come back, and knock on wood, we get out of this pandemic, that it's going to come roaring back. I think they needed a little bit of a break, not because of what we've been going through, but it was a little bit of oversaturation. And I think it's going to be big when things do finally come around. We need in Arizona, that would be awesome. It looks like in LA is our goal right now for the Scout HQ West. That was the question. They need one out in Arizona. I believe that was Joey who's out in Arizona. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Have you guys gotten to the point where you have someone in charge of your con box? That's what we call ours, where it's somebody that's in charge of all of the supplies you're going to need. So you don't get there and forget zip ties, or the thing to cut zip ties, or your, first aid kit, tape, staples. There's just all this stuff people don't think about that you have at your, it's easy to get them when you're in your shop or in your company headquarters, but you get out there, and if you don't have it, it's not so easy. You're in a state or a city you're unfamiliar with, so you can't be like, I'm just going to go to the Walmart and get all that stuff again. Sometimes you don't have time to get it.
Great question. Like, before the pandemic, again, like I said earlier, that I've done so many shows, and I've learned a lot of things from the different people who were doing more shows and started before I did. And after we sign a book, I created this template. Well, actually, I helped create this template. Some of our team helped do it as well. And essentially what it is, it's our convention guidelines, like little things that we've learned from doing conventions, and we share it with our creators. And kind of that's one of the templates that I send after we sign a book. It's like, hey, in a normal time, this is what we do. Some of the interesting things that I've learned, when you go to conventions, it's like $6 for a bottle of water. So what I've done is I've gone to Walmart and I bought these Brita filtered water things, where you can literally filter water from, it's like triple filter. It's really inexpensive. You change the filter every so often, but it's a water bottle. They can fill up at the water fountain, or you can fill up at the sink, and you can save tons of money. There's this one guy I've learned so much from. His name is Aaron Lampert. He's an artist, amazing. He has this airbrush style. But one of the things that he's learned is like the food, because again, food is very expensive. So what he did for a hiccup, and I still tease him all the time about it, is he tried bringing baby food. So he didn't have to eat because he's like a one-man show. He would bring like little things of baby food to eat. So he didn't have to, number one, spend money or whatever. And I still tease him about it all the time. I'm like, but he stopped doing it. But he's like, yeah, I don't understand why when I was a kid, like the split peas were, they look terrible. He's like, well, they're actually pretty good. I was like, I'll take your word for it, buddy.
Really?
But yeah, like little things like what we did today is we bring these like foam pads, because when you're standing on concrete for 4 days, it kills your feet.
Yep.
So by having like a little foam pad that you can roll up, even when I would travel, via plane, I would bring that because that can be game changing. So there's so many different things right now, as far as like this convention and kind of going forward is going to be, that's funny. Joey said, even my 11-month-year-old or 11-month-old spits out the peas. Well, Aaron didn't. He liked them the best. And I'm actually going to see him for the first time in 2 years. I think he's doing this convention, at least last time I checked. So I'm wondering if he brought any of the baby food, if he went back to that. But yeah, Kathy, our HQ manager, who's just been awesome. She's kind of been in charge of gathering all the stuff. Like tape is so important. You wouldn't think it is, but masking tape and scissors. We switched our POS. So typically we would use Square. I mean, that's one of the most popular things. You can plug it right into your iPhone or Android. We've, since we've done conventions, really, November was our last one, but we switched our platform on our website from Squarespace to Shopify, and we're using their POS. So this is going to be the first convention that we actually use the POS on Shopify. So I'm very interested to see how this works. We have a barcode scanner and we barcoded everything. So that's another thing that we've learned. I would manually put things in. So Kathy, her and the girls of Scout HQ have just been a godsend. They barcoded everything. So now we just have to scan. Even with comic tags, we have like a binder where she didn't have to barcode every comic tag. You can just scan which ones it is. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's so many different little things that you think of at cons. Baby food and Dr. Pepper. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know what? I miss cons so much. I would get that all the time. I don't know if I told you this, Jen, but like,
yep.
I'd have people just to harass me. They would bring literally a Dr. Pepper by the booth.
What's the most cans of Dr. Pepper you've received at a con?
The most cans? 7. 7. I'll tell you a quick story. Like San Diego Comic-Con, we've done every year, but not as exhibitors. So part of how I got involved with Scout was because of my marketing and sales background. Jim Pruitt at the time and Brendan asked me to go out and help pitch books. And I think we had like 20 books at the time to Brendan's Hollywood contacts. That's where I met Don Hanfield, who's become a partner, one of my good friends. But this last time, which is now 2019, I'm sitting there in the middle of a pitch with Paramount, right? Going over the stuff. Everything is going well. Don comes over in the middle of the pitch and brings over the Dr. Pepper. They had Dr. Pepper guy, like two Dr. Pepper like employees who were passing out Dr. Peppers, and Dr. Pepper created a comic book that they were giving out at San Diego Comic-Con. So middle of this pitch, and Don comes up. He's like, "Hey man, this is him. He's your biggest fan." And I'm just like looking up, and they like hand me a Dr. Pepper, like, "It's great." And I joked around with the guy. I was like, "Yeah, I heard out of those 23 flavors, I heard one of those is asbestos." And he's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And he was serious, I think. So yeah, he razzed me, and I kind of looked at it. And then David Byrne was there. That's when he first started to become part of the Scout back office. And he took pictures, and of course he posted on it where it shows me like laughing, holding a Dr. Pepper. So that one was by far the best ruse. I couldn't believe Don did it. Well, it turns out that guy at Paramount was Don's old manager, so he knew him. So he felt that was comfortable enough to do it. So it was like this big joke on me. So that one to this date stands as the best Dr. Pepper ruse. I had a couple of people who submit books to us. They're like, "Hey, here's my submission. I brought this so you can, drink it while reading." I was like, "Dude, it's not a good way to get."
Like for sure, I'm not never again ripping up book.
You see this? Don't bring James Dr. Pepper, or should you? Please don't. Well, David Byrne's going to be there, and he's a big fan, so I'm sure he'll drink it. We had another guy who helped us out. His name was Steve Kafka. He's a great guy. He helped out with us at the beginning. And he's a big Dr. Pepper fan, and he lost a bet. And I have a video that I still tease him out where I made him pour one out. So randomly, on Facebook, I'll be bored and I'll just he'll talk about something, and in the comments, I just post that video of him pouring it out. So yeah, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Oh my words.
Fun con stories. That's what Joey just asked.
Oh Lordy.
Whoa. Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, because I've not only begun as a retailer, but I've also helped run a couple of them just as a pure volunteer. And I was, of course, part of probably one of the biggest epic fail conventions of the last decade in Space City Con, which was a local con.
Oh, wow.
It was just like we brought way too many. I wasn't in charge of how many people he asked to come or was trying to pay for, but he decided to invite the entire cast of Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, wow. I think I remember this, but keep going.
And for some reason, so when you start a con, there's a bunch of people that volunteer and are super excited and they're so stoked. But when you get closer and closer to the day of the con and the amount of work increases, people drop off.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time this con actually started, we were running it with like a handful of people. Like the entire upstairs, the panel rooms and stuff was being run by one dude, and he was a volunteer. He wasn't even part of like what we call staff. Staff wasn't even paid either. So, so that was the one where the Sons of Anarchy guys jumped over the counter and took all the money out of the tills.
Yeah, I heard about that, and they posted it, like the main actor, right? Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, that really happened. That wasn't like pretend. That actually did happen.
Did they do it because the lines were too long? What was their motivation to do that?
There was some weird rumor, and I have no idea whether it's true. I wasn't that close to what the money looked like. Yeah. Was that they weren't going to make enough money to make the guarantees, so they just decided that they were going to make sure they got their guarantees, I guess.
Wow.
But the crazy part that I was involved in is that I was the volunteer for the big costume contest that was happening on Saturday night. And when I got upstairs, the rumor had made it upstairs as well. And the guys that were running the lights and sound and everything for that room, we showed up, me and my good friend that was helping me run the show. There were no volunteers to help. And the sound and lights guy says, "We don't know if we're getting paid for this, so I'm going to show you how to use the board, and I'm leaving."
Whoa. So
on my right-hand woman, because he showed my best good friend how to run lights and sound, and I did everything else. We did it with two people.
Man. Was that in 17 or 18? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but it was, somewhere back in there. It was just like, I tried to I said, it was just like, we're just going to move on like nothing's going on. The audience does not need to know the fact that I was running around like a crazy person.
Wow. And you were volunteering. That's what
and I was so thankful, because I don't know if you know Eddie Newsom. He's connected to DMC. He had volunteered to be our MC, and he did show up and did his awesome stuff. And DMC came up and did judging. And I am so forever thankful for them, because they made it seem magical for the people that worked so hard on those costumes. Because those people, man, they don't need to be told we can't do this event because things are just falling apart. They just wanted to show off their stuff. So they never went on.
That's cool. It's too bad to hear. I remember reading about it. I think I know I was at a different convention at the time, but yeah, that made, I think it made national news.
Sure.
And I know there was one convention that was it in Houston, the one that the guy was threatening the Power Ranger, the Green Power Ranger, Tommy. Was that in Houston? No, that was in San Antonio. You didn't hear about that? I don't even want to bring it up. It's just like such bad juju, but they caught him in basically trying to bring a real weapon into it. And he had threatened on the Facebook page, the Green Power Ranger. And it was a nightmare.
JDF, come on.
Yeah, JDF, Jason David Frank. Sorry, sorry guys. Yeah, it was pretty intense, and I'm glad to hear that we haven't had any kind of those events to happen since then, which is great because cons are supposed to be like the safe zone for everybody, and it's amazing.
That crazy stuff like that really does happen. It's like when someone got tackled in the front row at San Diego Comic-Con because they had a deadly pencil, and that's all I've ever heard happen there. So.
San Diego is such a good and such a reprieve too. I know you've been there because you've been nominated. Jen's store has been nominated multiple times for the Eisner for Best Comic Shop or the Spirit Award is what they call it, correct?
That's right.
And man, I know you're going to win. You're going to win. You deserve to win. But anyways, that's beside the point. I'm biased.
Else will have won and be like, once you win, you don't get to be nominated anymore. So once everyone else wins.
It's coming soon. I'm telling you, it's coming soon. But anyways, like San Diego is such a great reprieve because the weather is absolutely gorgeous in July. I miss it so much. It's like in the 70s and not usually, it doesn't rain much out in Southern California. It's gorgeous. Can't wait to do those. Can't wait. But yeah, we pretty much have to jet. I actually have to jet. I got people waiting for me to go start jumping into things. But thank you everybody for joining us. Jen, as always, it's great to talk with you. And I think I'm going to be doing it from new Scout HQ next week. That move that I was talking about last week was absolutely brutal. 2 days turned into 5 because of weather. We had to rent the U-Haul for more. And I probably myself and Trevor, he's one of my best friends since I've grown up. He also works. He's our warehouse manager. I don't know why I didn't hire anybody to help us, but it was essentially the two of us moving all these boxes, pallets, thousands of pounds. And I'm a glutton for pain or something. But anyways, we have the majority of the stuff moved in and we've got our little studio set up right at HQ. And it's real exciting this next week, but I'll have a lot of cool updates next week because a lot of the partners are flying into Florida again during a tropical storm now, which kind of sucks. And yeah, again, everybody have a great weekend. And Jen, great talking with you as always. And we'll see everybody next week.
Have a great show.
Thank you.